You're listening to Our Two Satoshis podcast with hosts Justin and Billy from CryptoBiz.com.
So Billy, last week was a pretty big week in the CryptoFizz Our Two Satoshis podcast world.
Yeah, man, we're making moves. We had Mr. Jez San on from FunFair.
Yeah, he was an awesome interview.
Yeah, dude, I actually shared it with my dad for him to listen. He doesn't know jack shit about crypto. It's like speaking Japanese to him. But he's like, he basically said the same thing. Like, it seemed like that dude was really cool, and he made a comment that because he has a British accent, it sounds like really legit. And it's like, this guy's really smart, even though he really is. Yeah.
Well, I love what we did on that podcast because we kind of, it wasn't just necessarily all the nit and gritty of FunFair. It was, the backstory on Jez, because I feel like, with branding and, even investors in the crypto space, getting the backstory on where somebody came from, how they're fully bought into it. I mean, it's not like you can tell just by, in his voice that this is not just some fly-by-night company that's just trying to put this up to make some money. He's actually trying to change a complete market segment, which it was great to hear.
Yeah, I think there's two things for me. One, from like an investment standpoint, it's nice to see that this person actually has experience, not only in business, but also in the gaming sector for like 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
So he knows what he's doing. And then two, it's just nice to hear different questions from like a listener standpoint. Like there's so many podcasts and interviews and et cetera, that are just the same questions over and over again. So.
I mean, it was great insight on even VR when we talked about
yeah.
VR and how he's been into VR for over 30 years, how that can potentially go into FunFair, and then all the downsides to it currently. Because, I've got a VR headset, but I've never really done a lot of research on VR, and it totally makes sense where he's coming from, that in order for it to be fully adopted, it's just like blockchain technology, it's just like any new technology. In order for it to be fully adopted, there are downsides that need to be overcome. So, who knows? It was, but when he was mentioning that though, about how, you got to walk around like an idiot with a big, VR headset on, it's totally true. With mine, like you put it on and then here, you're reaching to grab something behind your VR headset in your room, and it's like, I can't do this right now. I gotta pull this headset off. The worst thing that's ever happened to me is you're in the middle of a VR game and somebody like shoots you a text message, and it's like, oh, this is on my screen now. I gotta take this whole thing off, pull the thing out, and fix this in order to keep going. It was fun.
I'm not gonna lie, I've never tried VR before. I've never put on a headset ever.
Pretty cool.
But from like that, that look and feel, it reminds me of like wearing like scuba goggles and like walking around in real life with that. Like an idiot, dude. Take them off.
Oh, it's awesome. And even talking about like the cars that he's had before, it was
overall,
it was just a great interview. If you haven't checked it out, it'll be linked below in this podcast or on YouTube. It'll be one of the links below. Be sure to check it out. I mean, we've definitely gotten a good run from it in the last week and a half. Our podcast is up 400% in return. So it's such a great podcast. Definitely check it out. And, they're coming up on the finalization of their beta here. They didn't set a time frame. It could be a couple months, whatever, but they're really making moves, So definitely check out that podcast if you haven't already. This week we're doing a little bit different of a podcast. I'm actually going on vacation, so
you deserve it.
Yeah, need to recharge these batteries. And you, with your wisdom, told me to just step away from technology while I'm gone. So I think I'm going to heed that advice and just try to get some solar power out there on the beach.
Right.
When I come back.
Yeah, when you come back, you have plenty to do.
Oh, yeah.
No longer a small gig anymore.
No, there's a lot on the horizon.
Schedule.
Yeah. So why don't you mention some of the things that we got on the horizon here at CryptoFizz?
Well, so we recently partnered up with Jin to write a two-piece, well, two articles, two pieces about basically Bitcoin. So it's the history of money, and then we segue into how we got to Bitcoin. So it was a lot of fun to write and partner up with those guys and actually learn a little bit too. To learn about the first forms of currency and, how inflation happens and why it's necessary and all those kinds of things that you hear about but don't really know much about. But also think about some of the current challenges facing Bitcoin and crypto in general. Just for example, like some wallet issues, like a corrupt wallet. If you have like a corrupted DAT file with your wallet information on it, it's gone. Like your money's gone. So it's really important to back up that .dat file from time to time.
Yeah, I actually ran into this issue recently with, we had been talking big time about Syscoin a few months ago, and they recently made their conversion to their new desktop app, and I had that going on my computer, and there was nothing I could do to fix it.
Right.
So it wasn't a corrupt wallet, but it was that the new wallet was just, it wouldn't open, it wouldn't run. So I had to actually move it over to another computer and import the file over there in order to get access to my funds. But I was definitely freaking out a little bit there for a while.
Sweat's pouring down your face. It's like a Key and Peele clip. Have you seen it? Like a water hose just like gushing down his face.
Yeah. I don't want to like really knock Syscoin too much here, but I was kind of, a little upset with the fact that in order to get support that I needed, I had to be invited to their Slack channel and just go through this whole process. And I really feel like, I come from a support related background on software. Excuse me. And, I feel like before you release something, you should have a plan of action of how you're going to support that something. And the plan and action just wasn't there. I mean, I'm not trying to knock it, but,
especially in this market, like this new market where you're essentially your own bank. So there's nobody to save you.
Mm-hmm.
If you miss a character in your address, your money's gone. Like there's so many pitfalls here. It's just crazy to me that a lot of these projects aren't starting support first.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like think of the end consumer's worst fears, address those from day one.
And because anything that goes wrong in this can make an investor become a detractor to you and no longer want to invest. So
exactly, it only takes a handful. It really only takes one. So yeah, I mean that's for me. That's kind of a question I get a lot: is how do I judge projects and how do I know what to invest in? So for me, it's kind of two parts. One's the tech, like is the idea a good one? Is it really solving a problem? But two, what's the team like? Is the support good? It's rare to find both of those.
We actually had somebody in our Discord the other day, CryptoFizz Discord. There will be a link below if you want to join our Discord and kind of chat with us. But he was talking about how he doesn't invest in any projects that have that the leads have cartoon avatars.
Oh, yeah.
If he can't see what they look like, then he doesn't invest in them.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I mean, 9 times out of 10, I would agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
But in this particular case, like in Jin's case, that's their like only downfall right now, is people don't know who they are.
Yeah.
But they've ticked every single other box, and that's what has kept me there. Which they should be revealing here in August, at some point. So
is that what the whole team reveal is that they're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, there's going to be the team reveal / incorporation,
Gotcha.
and then they're launching their shared masternodes functionality. So.
Yeah, should be a big month for them.
Yeah,
definitely. But going back to like the team and everything, this is what Jez was talking about on our podcast last week at FunFair. He was talking about how if you can't at least have a prototype when you first kick off your project and actually know how to run a company, then it's not something you should necessarily invest in. So it makes total sense, but with all these ICOs popping up nowadays and everything like that, a lot of them are scams. And people just cut and run. So you really got to be wary and do your own homework. We post as much as we can about some of this stuff and our knowledge of what we've found, but do your own research. It's in the end, it's your decision. It's all on you.
Well, and that's such a big void right now too. Is just like the lack of education or lack of educated investors. It's
Mm-hmm.
just the Wild West, and they're chasing money.
Mm-hmm.
They- and unfortunately, there's going to be a handful of us that win because we are more educated. So
So I
it
gotta ask,
behooves you to learn.
oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I gotta ask you
Good.
one thing about that Bitcoin article that you wrote. Was that quote at the end of it, was that your made up, or did you get that from somewhere?
No, that was totally me. It was like the spur of the moment.
What was the quote?
Uh, uh, as Crypto Jez would say, I got 99 problems, but a glitch ain't one.
I actually tweeted that out the other day. That was funny. What is Jay-Z into crypto yet? Seems like
Honestly,
everybody else is getting into it.
that's a good question, man. I don't know. I'm gonna write that down. I want to look into it.
Rockefeller coin.
Is Jay-Z.
So jumping into another article that you recently wrote, and actually kind of on the Gen topic there. So you posted one yesterday about, or not yesterday, but about a week ago for Masternode deployment platforms and kind of a guide on it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically questions that you would ask of a Masternode platform and what their answers shouldn't and should be.
Right.
So like one thing that they're pretty straightforward, but if you're new into Masternodes, I would suggest definitely checking them out. Is there anything that, like, when you were writing this article, when you were putting it together, that really stood out to you?
Well, I think one of the big criticisms of these Masternode setup platforms is it's basically just really overpriced hosting. And of course, the answer to that is going to be different based on which service you go with. But I think for me, the important thing here is many of these platforms offer not only support, but they offer, a much more decentralized framework. So some people have suggested that it'd be much easier to just, buy your own hosting, your own VPS, and host maybe 5 masternodes on one. That way you're saving a lot of money. But if you're really thinking about risk and trying to avoid risk, like you should, you have to think about, a power outage, some kind of, some intern screwed up, at Vulture, anything could happen, and then suddenly you have 5 masternodes down.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of a big one for me is basically having a server for each one and using a platform that has a strong support staff to handle all those things for you, all the wallet updates. And there's a million different reasons why you should use, let me kind of backtrack a little bit. If you're technically proficient in setting up servers and monitoring all these wallet updates and yada, 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 go for it. You will save money. But in my opinion, I'd rather just have somebody else do it that knows what they're doing. It's a lot better than I am. So I can focus on learning about other projects and investing and,
It's the other added benefits that you get as well. A lot of these Masternode platforms out there have, ROI dashboards, and they, really explain in depth like what's happening, rather than you're just having something sitting on a virtual private server and you're not getting that, those metrics unless you built something out yourself like that.
Exactly. Something I've kind of been using as like a metaphor or just a comparison. If I wanted to, I could easily change my own oil in my car. It'd be a hell of a lot cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
I could do it from home. But I'd rather just drop it off somewhere and grab a beer. That's just the kind of person that I am,
I'm the same exact way, dude. And if you take a look at it, it's not much more expensive to do that. Just let it be in somebody else's hands.
Like if you're a penny pincher, more power to you, and save that money. But not this guy.
So let me ask you this question. We didn't really talk about this before the podcast in preparation, but what's your thoughts on the current market sentiment? It looks like altcoins are really taking a beating right now.
Yeah, man.
So
there is blood in the streets,
yeah.
especially if you go into a lot of these discords. People are losing their shit. It's just par for the course. I know a while back, I kind of mentioned that we are in a cup and handle pattern, and I'm sticking with it. I still think we are. I think we've bottomed out, and we're kind of bouncing up and down in this range, forming the base of the cup. So I think we aren't out of the woods yet, but I think we have bottomed out. We aren't going to see fives or sixes anymore. So I think, just to give you like an answer, I think the market's trying to find its footing and essentially waiting for its next catalyst, which I think is going to be the ETF. And there's a number of them. There's a number of ETF applications out and pending. A lot of them have been pushed back to like September, November, January. But I believe the one from the CBOE is still on track for August. So we'll see. I think the market's kind of on their toes, the edge of their seat, waiting for that.
That makes total sense. Makes total sense. So right now in this current state, I'm going to put you on the spot here, and I'll put myself on the spot as well. With altcoins taking a hammering like they've been taking, just in your opinion, I know, it's not everything that's out there, but what's a token or a project that you suggest people out there look into right now with where it's currently sitting at?
Well, let's see. I started poking around with something called a deep brain chain, and I need to flesh this out more, but they're actually launching their mainnet in, I think, about a week and a half. And basically what it comes down to is it sounds a lot like Gollum. You can essentially buy processing power.
Okay.
And it looks like a pretty reputable project, and I don't want to sign off on this yet. But that was like a pretty interesting one. So from a catalyst standpoint, that could be a good one to look into.
Yeah.
I've been kind of focused on a lot of gin, fun, all those kind of projects recently. So I haven't been poking around as much as I need to be. And that's something I'm going to be, really crunching down on moving forward.
Yeah, because you actually posted on our Discord today, you're starting a new pattern where you're going to try and take, you're going to write an article about it, but you're going to try and take $500 and flip it into like what, 25K in the next couple months?
Yeah, so basically, I'm not sure if you guys have been following us for a long time or not, but those that have know that in the early days we had various coin profiles, and we would kind of give you buy and sell signals and stuff like that. Catalyst trading. How to invest like a crypto millionaire is the title of the article.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so moving forward, I'm kind of going to jump back into that, and I'm going to do weekly catalysts. So I'm going to start with $500 starting tomorrow, and I'm going to jump into the most promising catalyst for the week moving forward. So basically tomorrow I'm going to buy something, and then roughly about a week after, I'm going to sell it before the event happens. And I'm going to try and flip that into the biggest amount possible by January 1st, just to have a date.
And how can people, get in on this if they want to kind of follow your trades?
Right. So for one, I'm going to actually, publish a piece on the article of choice. But for the actual, day-to-day conversation about it, I would jump into our Discord in the, I don't know, I'm thinking maybe have a separate channel for this. Maybe have like a,
Race to 25K.
yeah, exactly. Some kind of, gimmicky,
Yeah.
Get rich or die trying channel. But yeah, I would just hop into our Discord, probably the investing channel for right now, and just say, hey, what's going on? What's the move? What's the play? Just, have something to do. And, just to kind of be honest, I stopped doing it because we entered a bear market. And so that's kind of one of these things I learned way back doing traditional securities was first thing you look at is the broader market sentiment, right? So if the S&P 500 is doing well that day, chances are the rest of the market's going to be green as well. So I've kind of carried that over for this strategy as well. And so we haven't been doing this method for the past, I don't know, 4 or 5 months because of that, because the crypto market on a macro level became bearish. And so now we've kind of bottomed out and we're starting to climb back up. So I think now is a good time to jump back in. I'm pretty excited about it. I'm a gambler at heart. I like taking that risk. But as a disclaimer, not a financial advisor. We're probably going to lose a little bit here and there. Don't invest anything you're not willing to lose.
Exactly. Yeah, that's like should be our slogan.
Exactly.
It's like
need to rebrand CryptoFizz to DYOR.
Yeah. So I want to touch on one project that I'm, interested in, and I will tell you this is not a short-term win per se, but other than fun with their beta, finishing up and their first operator coming on board, and they have developers already on board. The basic attention token, man. I talked about this about a year ago. I was talking about it, and I was very high on that. And they've signed, partnerships with large financial news organizations. The talk of them possibly being added to Coinbase in the future. I just, it may drop a little bit right now. Who knows what the market is exactly going to do. But when the tokens are sitting there at about 30 cents a token right now. We are a Brave verified publisher. So if you come to CryptoFizz and you use the Brave browser, we can receive a little bit of a payout from you for being a verified publisher. So we're big supporters in it. But if it gets added to Coinbase, I don't see BAT staying a sub $1 coin anymore. Like they have too much value. It's just like FunFair. I mean, FunFair's got Jez San. BAT has Brendan Knight, who created Firefox, JavaScript. Is the CEO of Brave and BAT, and it's just there's so much promise behind it.
I mean, yeah, just from like a fundamental standpoint, it checks all the boxes.
Yeah.
There's the experience, the team, product since day one. I mean, the chart, despite the dips, if you look at the support level over time, it's steadily going up. And something else I want to point out too is a lot of people look at the peaks and how much it's fallen. I think it's smarter to look at the other way around. Look at the support and how it keeps climbing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
It makes total sense. I mean, you want to see that high, high run up, but really, the support level is the real thing that matters.
Yep.
Cool. Well, we just wanted to do a quick recap today of some of the articles that we've gone over on the podcast. We'll be hitting you with a new podcast next week, and we've got some interviews in the works for next month. So this is going to be the first time we're actually posting this video of our podcast on YouTube, so we'll get better at that as well, but we want to start working on some more video content. To check out the podcast, check out CryptoFizz.com, and all the articles today on the podcast are linked below on whatever platform that you're currently on. Be sure to check those out. Billy, anything in closing? You want to close out the podcast?
Yeah. Next time I'll come prepared and do my hair, put on my face.
I did my hair today.
Lucky. Yeah, I would just say jump in Discord. Say hi. We can talk about crypto kitties, favorite beer, whatever. Always chatting in there.
Yeah, our Discord's definitely growing. Community's getting bigger.
It's popping.
It's been awesome since we added our new marketing guy, Mad Digits, on there. He's been doing great with it. So.
Yeah, man. Short and sweet today.
Cool. Have a good one, everybody.
See ya.